Hello.
What's up, Shelton? What's up, homie?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Good to see you, dog.
You too. Yeah, sorry about the delay it takes a minute to get my computer up and running the way it needs to.
And it's all good.
All right. Let's start. Tell me about the project you're working on and when and where it's happening.
Okay, well, I'll first start with the date. It's on February the 28th at 3:30. It's going to be streaming on UNF's YouTube School of Music page. But what it is, or it's basically a choral concert, and it's featuring only the composers of people from Africa or the African diaspora.
Yeah.
It's called Voices of Mahogany, and it's the first of its kind at UNF. So the first time this has happened, let alone a graduate student conducting it. But I'll be conducting through spanning over 100 years of music and seven different countries, rather, from Britain to Haiti, West Africa, Central Africa, South Africa a little bit, and there'll be three choirs involved from UNF: the Osprey Treble Singers, which is an all treble voices choir. The Chamber Singers, the top ensemble there, and then the UNF Chorale, which is kind of the in-between intermediate choir. And then I also have a small ensemble, which is basically a precursor to an ambition that I have to create what was called the Voices of Mahogany. I'd actually pitched this to my mentor, my conductor, Dr. Tasher. And
What's Tasher's first name?
Dr. Kara Tasher.
All right.
Yeah. She we had a meeting about, what was going to be my big presentation. And I told her that my aspiration was to actually have an ensemble, that the whole purpose of it was to really lift up these types of voices, because I went to JU and I was the assistant principal conductor there, and I was in the university singers there. And every time we got to sing some music that was by an African American, it was either South African music or it was spiritual.
Yeah.
So I linked both of those things, although they're very deep and dear to my heart and important. I linked them both to suffering. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I really was starting to think that was the only voice that we had in the choral forum. And, there's vastly underrepresentation in what's considered fine arts or classical music altogether. And choral music is no different, but it's not due to a lack of artists. So fast forward, years later, when I actually do decide to get my master's degree, I had actually come across a piece by William Grant Still.
Yeah.
I know you know William Grant Still, but he wrote an oratorio called "And They Lynched Him from a Tree," and it was one of the most powerful pieces of music I'd ever heard. Just straight up protest music. It was before there had been they were trying to, at the time, push legislation for an anti-lynching bill, very much like what we still dealing with.
Yeah.
And this piece was commissioned, and he wrote it, and it actually takes a white choir and a black choir and goes through this scene of basically just after this white gathering has lynched the man, and then it follows right up with the black choir coming in and kind of noticing what happened, and then a mother gives the aria, and then finally at the end they come together and speak as a choir together about the fate of the country if things don't change, basically. So me finding out that existed was like, okay, there's got to be way more rep that just goes under the radar.
Yeah.
So my first semester there at UNF rather, for my master's degree, I was taking a bibliography class and just decided to kind of dive into, okay, where are the black operas? Where are the black oratorios? And digging in that, I just started finding that there were tons of composers that existed And not only did they have these large masterworks, but they had choir pieces. So when it got to the summer right before my second year of my master's degree, I just went ahead and pitched it to Dr. Tasher. Like, look, I'm here because I want to do this particular thing, start the Voice of Mahogany when I graduate. Can I program a recital that's just like what I would like to do in the future? And she
Yeah.
gave me that leeway, and this is it. You know what I'm saying?
Now you said that you're involved in the Osprey Treble Society and the UNF Chorale. What was that third group you mentioned?
Well, the first one was the Osprey Treble Chorus.
Treble chorus.
Yeah.
Treble, yes.
Yeah, Osprey Treble Chorus. And then the Chamber Singers is the other ensemble that's actually through UNF. And then I put together my own, basically, Voices of Mahogany recital ensemble specifically for this event.
Now, how many members are in your ensemble? Who are some of those people involved?
The selected ensemble? They're a collection of UNF students that basically volunteered to help me put it on because it was basically practically an hour's worth of music. So based on the stuff that the other choirs were covering, I still had another 4 songs that still needed to be handled. So just a collection of the chamber singers and some of the Osprey Treble and some of the chorale members, they helped me put it on basically.
So encompassing all of these groups, how many members will be performing at this event?
Okay, let me think about that a little bit heavier. Between 65 and 75 students.
Okay.
And that's without, I have 3 percussionists playing as well who are UNF percussion students. And then we have our collaborative pianist who is named Sachiko Frampton.
How do you spell that?
Sachiko.
Frampton.
F. Yeah, Frampton.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna verify that too, just to make sure I ain't bugging out.
Tell me about let's go down through the playlist. Tell me about some of the composers that you're featuring and the songs that you'll be doing and what draws you to these particular pieces.
Well, one piece that started off is the most legendary and dear to my heart, James Weldon Johnson's Lift Every Voice and Sing, most specifically Ronald Carter's arrangement, which has become a classic through probably every HBCU is saying this song. It's just a really masterful work. And the way he lifts up John Rosamond Johnson's music, it was excellent. And we started off very traditionally in sheer reverence and respect to the ancestors, especially on the ground that I'm at. Additionally, my wife is Ghanaian. She's from, her father is from Ghana, and she's from Ghana, America. So in that search, I was looking for West African choral music, and I came across a giant in West Africa by the name of Ephraim Amu. And he has this piece. I'm doing 2 pieces of his. Only 3 of them have been published in the United States. And we're doing 2 of the published works. And the one that is most dear to my heart is a piece called Asem Yidika. It's spelled with IPA, but the translation is roughly this talk must be spoken. I think that's the way they have it in our English. Yeah, this talk has got to be spoken is the English translation. And it just speaks to that fact that somebody's got to live this life. Somebody's got to do this work. Somebody's got to say what has to be spoken, and only I can do it. It's very individual, but the things that draw me to it the most are not only the message, but it has this just an innate African characteristics. In music theory, they consider it 3 against 2, where you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 happening. So you have 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have this 2 happening with this 3. You can see it in the flow of like Future or West African drum. You can hear it in the Caribbean, and it has all these characteristics all over the diaspora, but it's right there in West Africa. And he was born in the late 1800s.
Mhm.
So it's not that he was influenced by all these other things. It just
Right.
shows we all have this similar line.
So
And
in like a lot of modern rap music, that sort of triplet style
yeah,
delivery that comes from the West African rhythm.
I I really believe it's the drumming, especially
Yeah.
that this later thing that our Future is the biggest proponent of it. And like, what was that Panda song that came out these years ago? Where he was kind of emulating that style. I just heard that and I was like, damn, they sound like drums. They really sound like. So I thought it was interesting that those characteristics exist, even though this is our style of choral music is very much European, you know, and
Hmm.
that's the strange part of how this navigates. This choral music gave us a new voice, a new platform, and then we put all these Africanisms in it and make it our own. So by exploring these the choral music from all over the diaspora, it shows how many links there are. Like, I'm doing a piece from Haiti by a composer by the name of Sidney Guillaume, and it's called Mama Africa. It's about a 7-minute piece, and it basically takes you from, the troubadour crying about the state of things, asking why is Africa in the state that it's in, and crying mama, mama, and then it goes to the point of why it's in despair, day and night and day, nothing changes, and then it goes into how reminiscing on how beautiful Africa was, and then it basically ends with a prayer of blessing on Africa and Haiti. But again, you can hear all these. It's from Haiti, but you can hear all of the Caribbean in there, and then you can
Hmm.
hear all of the African drumming, even within the context of his singing. And this composer is the most interesting to me in that he seems to write the vocal parts like they're drums. So you can hear all of the interplay. At some points, it's just like all of it's in harmony, but you can hear all these rhythms happening through the voices as if it's a drum circle or something. You know,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it's a really great piece. Um, I couldn't do the recital without having spirituals,
Hmm.
because that's kind of our personal line, the African American, and I have some from the composer Stacey Gibbs. I have an arrangement by Yasay Barnwell, who is from Sweet Honey in the Rock, one of my favorite music groups of all time. I have two pieces by her to represent the women of color, and each one of the spirituals that have been chosen, from Steal Away, like I said, Way Over in Beulah Land, and I'm Gonna Wait on the Lord, all have that kind of underlining text of freedom is coming, and I'm expecting it, and I'm having faith in that.
Yes.
Whereas Steal Away specifically was a coded spiritual used by Tubman and Nat Turner. Um, Additionally, let's see, on the non, I also have William Grant still
Hmm.
doing the spiritual that I have him is almost representing a more classical, refined version. It's not like the bombastic earlier styles where, even though I have a contemporary composers doing these older spirituals, they almost kind of model the oldest style, where this Harlem Renaissance composer has a little bit more of there's some kind of refine or polish to the particular spiritual that I have of his, which is called The Blind Man. Um,
Who?
oh,
When you mentioned Steal Away, you said. Oh, never mind. Go ahead. Continue. I
but
just
as
answered
for
my own
the
question. Hmm.
but the Steal Away version is actually this is the only piece on the recital that technically wasn't written down, because Yasay Barnwell has this method of teaching based on the oral tradition of the Black Church.
Mm.
So this particular arrangement is one that she didn't write down, and she shared through one of her publications that was broken down into 4 parts, but transmitted orally. One of the oldest piece on my recital, which is a new edition, which makes it more than 100 years, is by a composer by the name of Theodora Guinness. Um, it was written in the late 1600s, and it was transcribed in the late 1800s. It is purported to be the first son, which is a genre of Cuban music. And
How do
she
you
was
spell
a
that?
son, you know, and it's in
F-O-N.
Spanish.
Okay.
No, S as in Sam.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, son, like song without the G.
Yes.
Yeah, and I came across this piece because I was looking at through Baroque, trying to find Baroque composers of color, which there are some kind of from Portuguese or Afro-Brazilian, more in the classical area when we start getting there. But in that Baroque, I couldn't really find anything. But there was this Cuban woman who was famous for playing the bandola. She was from the Dominican Republic, and she was a freed slave there. She moved to Cuba with her sister, and then she was a performing artist there. And her song, which has her name in it, was basically just passed on over centuries, and then was documented as the first ever song, which is considered like a folk music for Black Cubans, you know. So I thought that was so fascinating that I wanted to add that to my recital.
Now, with this, are you going to be recording the concert for future release?
Yeah, it will be streamed, but there'll be a recording of that, and I have two other people that'll be documented of sorts. Well, I have one recording a video feed just in case I'm not able to get the stream, and then I have an audio recording of it as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. And if there was one more composer I would just mention is Samuel Coleridge Taylor.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about this brother. He was a Pan-Africanist. He came to the United States and was warmly received here, but he was able to understand the struggle because he was in an area where even though he experienced extreme discrimination, he was still able to let his art speak for himself. And, you know, now even though he died broke and didn't have any publishing, he was still able to get much notoriety during his lifetime because of his artistry and his skill level. But we're doing a piece called The Lee Shore, and that is one of my favorite pieces of the recital.
What's it called?
The Lee Shore.
How do you spell that?
And then Lee, L-E-E.
Oh, okay.
Shore.
Gotcha.
Damn it, I cannot forget. I know all of this isn't particularly relevant, but
it's everything is relevant.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
There's a piece I'm dedicating to my dear brother Peyton Locke.
Yes.
August the 2nd is when he passed. And that I started school 2 weeks later for my master's degree. So that's been something I've carried through this whole journey. And there's a piece called Weep Not for Him, written by Tesfa Wanda McGegnahu. And he took the poetry of Paul Laurence Dunbar.
Oh.
Yeah, man. And it just, Paul Laurence Dunbar, he wrote it for a person that passed for him. Tesfa, he set the text in dedication to his mother. And, you know, it just directly speaks to me about grief. It starts off, "Thou errant robber death, could thou not find some lesser soul than he?" You know, and just every word of it is just relevant and poignant. And the first time I heard it, it just hurt my heart just to hear it. And it obviously resonated with him. So that's the piece that's dedicated to him in this recital.
Tell me a bit about Peyton Locke. It's been a couple of years since we've lost him. Tell me a bit about how he influenced just your musical journey and your life in general, and this process. Yeah. Because the man was a legend.
My dear friend, man, brother. And man, I can't really think of.
He was so proud of you too.
I can't.
He bragged on you all the time. The stuff you were doing. Stone Echo is one of his favorite projects. I remember me, Peyton, Willie F, Tough Junkie. we're always hyping you up. Like we've all watched your development with great interest.
Man, those are my brothers right there, man. You just mentioned my brothers, man.
Hmm.
Those are my brothers. And each one of them have played such a major role in what I define as excellence as a performer and artist. Each one of them. And Peyton Locke influenced me more than anybody.
Hmm.
His consistency and persistence for excellence.
Yeah.
Our philosophical views, our politics in most regards, all of a sudden it's like we had a synchronous meeting, and I know how fortunate I was to have a collaborative partner that way. And the music he made, I never heard something bad from him. I never heard something mediocre.
Yeah.
I never heard him stumble in a rhyme, even if he didn't say what he wanted to say. You know what I'm saying? And he was always pushing me. He was always every time I'm around. He considered his house the dojo. So when we were there, if it started to come to rhymes, I'm the one to kind of be quiet and kind of wait until I might jump in.
Yeah.
Nah, the big brother there made me want to jump in. You know what I'm saying? His guidance was always about just it being the best you can make it and never half-stepping. And he led that through example. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Through his music and his canvases, I was able to find my voice.
Mm.
That's a very unique thing. I had been performing for a long time. I've been writing. I've been doing ABC. Once Stono Echo became Stono Echo, we basically started with the song that was most dear to us called Outer Limits. That was the first song that basically we made together. There were 2 songs that week, but that was the one where I was harnessing all the things that I learned from him in the lyrics of the word. Take me away, show me what I'm looking for. With gravity so great, can't buckle from the pressure, no. I'm flying anyway. I'll gravitate to great because I'm alive today. That's reason enough to reach beyond the horizons. That is what I learned and gleaned from Peyton Locke. And my desire to synchronize myself with that reality led me to put those lyrics over his canvas. And every song I made and I continue to make in Stono Echo because it's still living. He asked me to continue.
Yeah.
So, and he has beats for years.
I'm sure.
He got beats for years, like a Prince vault. You know what I'm saying? I can always find my voice in with our collaboration, and that is a very special thing to me. And we both knew that what we had with each other was very unique, and it started through years of friendship. I was just making. I was hanging out with Peyton because he was my brother. He respected the stuff that I was doing with the Elevated Hip Hop Experience years ago. He was just like, "Oh, you're dope," and he was the first person to be like, "Yo, your name's kind of whack," which is so Peyton. But he loved that work. And then I started playing keys on some stuff. You know, we kind of collaborated, and then eventually I did some keyboard work on the Food Chain record with Dylan.
Yeah.
And then the next year, by the end of that year, we were making Stono Echo stuff. I told him I could sing one day. I was like, I sing better than I play the keys, right? And he gave me beats, and one of those beats was Outer Limits, man.
What year did you start the Stone Echo project?
Stono Echo
Stone, yes.
is want to say 2016. No, 2015 is when we started it.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2016 is when we completed the project. 2017 was when I think we tried to put out the basically soft release, and then we put out the vinyl. It was something like that. I can
Yeah.
actually get the real day.
Yeah. And also, if you can send me later on a list of the set list, so I can make sure I get all the spellings of the composers and everything right
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
cool. I will do
Mm-hmm.
that. I'll do that as soon as we get off.
Yeah. Take your time. In I know you came about this project because you had an interest in this history, and you want to sort of educate yourself about it. What were there surprising things you learned in the course of your research? Stuff you didn't know, or people you didn't know, like because a lot
Well,
of people don't know how deep all this material really goes.
um, one of the most startling was that first piece that I found through the oratorio of William Grant Still. To even find that there was a protest piece like that, there was a choral oratorio. Where I think oratorio, I'm thinking Handel's Messiah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Handel altogether. Just very formal. I'm thinking cantatas, but to find out that there was a work that illustrated a lynching it was so riveting. And just the concept alone was powerful, but the piece of music, I just recommend it to any living person. It is just so powerful. I was surprised to see how many published pieces are spirituals, though. It made me wonder if there was a difficulty in getting something that's not within a certain voice published,
Mm-hmm.
and I still don't have the answer to that question. But one of the interesting composers, two of the interesting composers that I was interesting to find out about was Adolphus Hale Stork and another composer by the name of either Hale or Hale Smith. Is Hale Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They were creating music that has these dissonances in it that are not that are so you have the spiritual being the most black thing you can think of, and then you have the other end of the spectrum, and that was the most interesting thing to kind of come across outside of just provocative protest works. There's a piece called Toussaint l'Ouverture that's about the general
Yeah.
of Haiti, of
Yeah.
course. And the snapshot that he takes isn't some triumphant battle song. He talks about he paints the scene of Toussaint's last breath in Napoleon's jail cell.
Mm.
And the dissonances he decides to paint here is just so fitting, and it juxtaposes this idea of this heroic figure having this end in solitude, and it even emulates his last breath in the piece. It's just so powerful. That was something else that to open my mind and say, hey, this music exists, So pieces like that are what I hope to do with the Voices of Mahogany once I start that ensemble.
So the Voices of Mahogany ensemble is going to be an ongoing project going forward.
That is my profession. That is my first professional aspiration with my graduate degree. I was hoping to have a sense of refinement and improve my professionalism to have the ground to stand on to create something like this.
Yes.
I had worked in schools, but my degree at Jacksonville University was as a composer. I'm in music theory and composition, and I fell in love with choral music there as an assistant conductor. I took conducting 1, and I was like, I want to get better at this. I took conducting 2, and then I kept singing choirs, and I started my own ensemble when I at San Juan del Rio Catholic School. That was the job I got right after my bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to grow as a conductor, but I didn't have someone showing me what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So there were natural skills that were developing just based on the mentorship that I received from Dr. Timothy Snyder from JU, just being a student of his. But now I have someone who's getting behind my process. You know, they're informing how to study a score. They're being able to correct my gesture and inform me of the things I'm communicating through my body that I'm not meaning to communicate, you know. So I felt like that type of refinement was ideal to go out into the community and really lift up these works because, okay, I'm going to do music by Florence Price, H.T. Burley, or William Grant Still. All of them went to school. All of them were formally trained in what they do.
Yeah.
So I felt like it wouldn't do them justice to not have that type of study
Absolutely.
and really feel like I was doing properly lifting them up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whether a PhD or a DMA is down the line or not is still up for discussion. But I know that particular mark isn't necessary for me to start this ensemble. You know.
So now in this journey you've gone through as a student, now as a teacher and a composer, band leader yourself, how important has it been to have UNF and JU there, like as a sort of having these sort of elders there to kind of mentor you through the process?
It has been monumental, and it has been it's priceless. There's no price on it. I know I can call Dr. Snyder right now, or I can call Dr. Tasher 10 years from now and ask them about the score. You know what I'm saying? I can literally ask them a music question, let alone asking them about a life question. Both of them have treated me like family. They're very loving and supportive, both scholastically, as friends, as mentors, and professionally. My first position was because another professor that I had, he came out of his classroom. He was like, "Oh, there's a position open at San Juan del Rio. The first person he runs into is Dr. Snyder. You have any recommendations?" I was the first name he said. You know.
Wow.
Dr. Tasher's already keeping me abreast of what's available right now, and she allowed me this platform to be the first go at the Voices of Mahogany, you know. And she not only did this, but I'm one of the only students that actually gets the opportunity to conduct her top recital. I mean, her top ensemble in this type of forum.
Yeah.
She's given me a lot of space to do this. Like I said, this is not only the first concert of its kind at UNF, but let alone by a graduate student.
Yeah.
So not only the support and faith that she's put in me, but she's constantly building me up and encouraging me that I'm capable and that I'm growing exponentially based on where I started. A lot of this is a fish out of water for me. You obviously know.
Yeah.
You know where I'm coming from as an artist. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy who had a hip hop band 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And my name was Myztroh. You know what I'm saying? And now
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
it is like some type of self-fulfilling prophecy, you know. And I've always felt a little awkward in academia. Not that I feel like I'm a dummy, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times I'm the only black person, you know. I'm not the only black person at UNF, but I'm one of very few.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in the graduate program conducting this right now, you know.
So being one of the only black people in this program studying classical music, was it reassuring to you to take note of how much Black history was connected to classical music? Like me, I knew about James William Johnson, I knew about William Grant Still, but a lot of the stuff you're telling me about today is new to me. I look forward to checking it out later on.
Absolutely. I remember, no, let me not say that. Just speaking on UNF most specifically,
Hmm.
you know, I'm grateful that Dr. Tasher, um, she's driven by lifting up other voices. So she's not trying to give a whitewashed version of anything.
Yeah.
And especially based on her experiences, she has been all over the world. Like I was introduced to the oh guys, don't let me hold this wrong. I believe it was Balinese. I was saying a Balinese piece my first
Mm.
year here, you know. So I was saying a Balinese piece, a spiritual, and um, about 75% of Handel's Messiah in one semester, my first semester here. You know what I'm saying? So she's been very open to a lot of voices. Now, my particular background and where I've come from, I am only hearing black voices coming from spirituals and South African music. So every time I'm stepping into academia, I have a slight chip on my shoulder. Like, okay, can we hear something else?
Yeah.
A different thing? And it seems like that charge is always okay. We'll find it. Where's the music? You know. So um, that's been a goal of mine. I wanted it, for lack of a better idea, to be blacker when I left. You know, something to be
Hmm.
blacker when I left. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And this type of program, I think it does justice to what I'm not only to my future aspirations, but this will forever be something that happened here.
Yeah.
You know, and that means a lot. And then to line it up, I didn't know who Andrew Robinson was. That's the location of the recital. It will be in the Andrew Robinson Theater.
Hmm.
I'm sure you've been in that theater,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I didn't know
It's
about.
Robinson's the one with the sort of rotating
Yeah,
stands. Yeah.
yeah, I had no clue that was the same Andrew Robinson, Dr. Robinson, that my parents grew up with at Rains High School. Um, he was the first principal
Wow.
at William Marion Rains,
Is
and he was the first black president of UNF. He was interim. He was only there for 2 years in 1980, but still, I had no clue about that history. So to be not only doing this concert, but to be doing it in that particular venue, which is only happening because of these COVID restraints and all this strangeness
yeah.
around how we have to do this recital, it just became another piece of icing on the cake, where it's like, all right, I have a link to this man. I
Hmm.
grew up hearing Ichiban in my household because of the man that I'm about to do a performance in something in honor of him. So, you know,
Wow.
from James Weldon Johnson to um, Andrew A. Robinson Jr. to I incorporated Augusta Savage on the cover of the
Yeah.
program and on the advertisement. I'm very big on ancestral acknowledgement, and this is all about standing on their shoulders.
Yeah.
And as I told you, with this aspiration of lifting these voices up that are oft forgotten, these voices of Mahogany, you know, um, my intention was to do them justice and be educated like all of them did in some way.
Hmm.
So it just seems like all of it's lining up the way it needs to, and the only thing left is to do it.
Yeah. Let me backtrack real quick. First of all, when were you born?
I was born in 1983,
What day?
May 17th.
Were you born here in Jacksonville?
No, my parents were from Jacksonville, but I was born in Homestead, Florida, because my dad was in the Air Force.
You have siblings?
Yes, I do. Um, I have an older and a younger brother.
And what high school did you go to?
I went to Paxton School for Advanced Studies. I don't know what they call it now.
Gotcha. So you got your bachelor's at UNF and your master's at JU?
No, I got my bachelor's at JU. in music composition and theory, and I'm getting my master's now at UNL with a concentration in conducting, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the COVID restrictions and stuff. Just with a thing like this, you've got three ensembles, including your own. As you said, 65 to 75 people involved, and with the restrictions, what's the challenge like as far as logistics, getting all these people together, getting them, and this is all kind of fresh music for them, so getting everyone together, getting them practice, getting them trained up on it, incorporating the protocols in the concert setting.
Yeah, there are numerous obstacles in regards to into both staging it and the preparation. For instance, there's no space we're allowed to be in for more than 30 minutes. So we're always rotating our spaces, and with an additional ensemble that's meeting both inside class times and outside of class times. I've been very fortunate that the School of Music has given me the opportunity to rotate in a few rooms once a week up into my recital date. Mm-hmm. Additionally, you have a lot of absences that occur.
Yeah.
Some of them with people just being not particularly getting the illness, but once you've been around somebody, now you're quarantined all of a sudden, and you're always dealing with that. And I'm not certain I've had a full rehearsal at all. Additionally, we're talking about choral music, so text is a major element of what we're doing, and consonants do not exist in mask. They have to be over executed, and that's already the case in choral music. You're already coaching them to be mindful of their consonants, because you have the melody that's being carried on the vowel, and the consonants are what's determining the text. That's what you're saying. I'm only knowing the word to get an apple. That's who you the owl without consonants. So the more protective the mask, the more difficult that is. Additionally, facial expressions and even coaching vowel and pronunciation a lot of times has to do with the conductor's disposition and their facial movements. All of it is out of the door when you're dealing with COVID. You have these masks on, so that's another element where the only thing I really have to express are my gesture and my eyes and my eyebrows.
So in terms of technique, say utilizing the masks in the choral setting, how do you compensate for the obstacles that are presented with the masks? Have you figured out any little like cheat codes or little tricks to get past this?
Well, I have that obstacle along with still being a student and still trying to improve my ear and being able to. I'm trying to listen for something being in tune, and I might have missed that some of those words were a wash, or I'm so caught up in the words being a wash, I'm missing something. I'm missing other things. So it's all been a challenge. Just really having to reinforce consonants is something to continuously talk about. Practicing in the mirror to really see, are my eyes communicating what I'm trying? I mean, I just experienced this even within the day, where my Dr. Tasher kind of challenged me to really concentrate on the starts and ends of the pieces and my emotional state and what I'm expressing to the ensemble. And she was basically just saying, look in the mirror and then take a picture of yourself right then. Yeah. And all these times I've been in front of this ensemble thinking I'm expressing intensity or pain or, like the Lee Shore is trying to convey a storm at the beginning. I'm thinking I'm doing this. Yeah. I see myself in the mask when I take the snapshot and I look crazy. Like I look like a fool. I'm like, that has nothing to do with the song, so it's making me refine that. So there are some elements where these obstacles are forcing me to improve and get even more precise in what I'm trying to express.
I mean, that's the theme of the whole project. You know,
Yeah,
we're faced with adversity and we find ways to overcome and ultimately come out a little bit better.
absolutely.
That's the goal, anyway.
You say
Now,
it again?
I said
Oh,
that's
the
the goal,
goal.
and
Yeah,
you know,
indeed, indeed.
eh, let me ask you more generally, like not just this particular project, but in your career as a musician in general. Because I was talking with the Times Union about this, like about how the pandemic was really bad for the music business because like live concerts and touring were kind of scaled back, but at the same time, there's been a lot of really good music made, and I think especially with the streaming and all that, the musicians in this community have done a very good job, I think, of taking those challenges and responding to them, and still managing to create really quality material, you know, in the midst of all this tragedy and you know,
I agree, man. It's kind of opened the door and it showed what's possible. So for me, the slowdown and stop was was so integral to my personal and spiritual growth. Like
mm-hmm.
I'm always someone who's seeking quiet or a moment. I'm often in a cave. I'm often, not out,
Yeah,
but the type of slowdown or stop that happened with COVID was much different.
yeah,
And it happening while I'm in the middle of a master's degree. That first semester, the first 2 semesters were so intense, and then all of a sudden there's COVID, and then I had to come back for a renewal. I know the stop and slow down and the quiet that I end up getting, and then the renewed sense of what I was going to do, uh, is integral to how I am in this one moment of what I'm facing. The
mm-hmm.
whole idea of actually getting to do this this concert this way was because of a meeting Dr. Tasha and I had at the beach, which was otherwise we would have been meeting in an office,
Yeah,
or we might not have met at all because I'd already been seeing her. It was something.
mm-hmm.
All of these things were just slight caveats. I thought it was very special that I was able to have my first performance since Peyton's transition through Instagram. I had
Yeah,
never done anything like this, and I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for this type of scenario.
yeah,
And then additionally, this had a guilt. The group that Asha Locke is
mm.
now the front
Yeah,
person of. I'm seeing what's capable. Like
yeah.
the quality of their streams that I've seen two of their streams, and I'm just blown away
They're kicking
at
so much butt.
they are amazing band.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that they're doing this in the incubator, and they were touring, they were starting to get that impetus,
Oh
and they
yeah.
didn't let it stop them.
Mm-hmm.
So that there's a lot of hope with this, and I was hoping to see a change from playing the same exact venues and the
Yeah.
same lineups and the same all this. This is shaking it up in a new kind of way, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how things go forward,
Yeah.
even as we start to get live shows
Yeah.
happening again.
Because now, yeah, we want to get things back to normal as soon as possible. But and once we're able to do that, the musicians, artists, and the venues, I feel like now everyone's got a few extra tools and a few extra techniques in their skill set that can be applied going forward.
Absolutely. And what was the most amazing thing to me was the one show that I did on Instagram. It felt real, like it, and not it felt like a show.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting applause. I wasn't I wasn't getting the immediate feedbacks that I was, but I was still able to zone out and go to my mode. And then when I came to and I started seeing the hearts and the people comments and stuff, it felt similar, and to see that they were with us, it was like maybe 40 people in the room, and I've been in clubs where there were less people,
Yeah.
you know, so it's still very meaningful that you can have an experience that's so tailored to the people who have interest in you. And it excites me that I can now go share this with the people who never could come to a show.
Yeah.
And I can see shows that I don't get the normal chance to see,
Mm-hmm.
And even something like the versus battles. Like I
Yeah.
remember the Erykah Badu Jill Scott thing. It was so special to be in that room. They were having this live moment together as friends, and we were sharing a room with the world.
Yeah.
That it just opened the door. So
It's like it's intimate but expansive at the same time.
right, and that's mind blowing. And
Mm-hmm.
while at first I was very afraid of things like this, getting rid of that intimacy of connection that
Yeah.
happens, it just shows that these types of connections truly transcend space and time.
Yep. That's true. Um, Speaking of transcending space and time, tell me about family. Do you have kids now?
I don't have any
No,
children,
not yet.
not yet.
Hmm. How long have you been married?
I don't know. I hope this one isn't public, but
Oh, no. Well, we don't have to. No, no, we don't have to go into that.
okay.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're all very proud of you. Um, Now, I'm writing this up for Void, and a lot of the raw interview here will probably end up on my YouTube channel, The Contrast Project. And so both of these will be ready to go like the week before the concert. But going forward, before we wrap up, are there any other projects you want to shout out to, stuff
Oh,
that you'll be working
absolutely.
on going forward?
I
Just
absolutely big
run the
up.
table, go for it.
All right, so number one, Stone Echo is on deck. Peyton Locke and we had already planned the
Yeah,
second album. We have the track list. So after this Masters is over, it's on. That's already in the last leg of its completion, as well as another project that's Stone Echo. So, and like I said, there's a vault. Not
yeah,
only do we have our own vault of songs, but Peyton has years and
yeah.
years of canvases.
Hmm.
I assure you. Big up the Full Plate and all that they have going on. The Quasar and Bat Sauce project. I'm hoping to have a beat tape with Full Plate one of these days.
Hmm.
Nightcrawler is
Oh yeah.
an Afrobeat band that
Hmm.
just such a treasure to be a part of.
Absolutely.
And we have an album on deck. So
Excellent.
absolutely coming soon. I have my own little foreign exchange with a friend in the UK
Hmm.
that we're working on a project. It's an EP that he's hoping to have completed by the end of this year.
All
And
right.
so I get more details on that. I'll keep that as just that little nugget. But,
Absolutely.
and then the Voices of Mahogany.
Yeah.
After I graduate, it'll be an all call. I'm going to be really doing auditions and trying to get. It won't be limited to voices of color, but the mission is that
Hmm.
to explore, exhibit, and exalt these pieces that from composers of Africa and the African diaspora that are often underrepresented in the programming habits of the choral platform,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm excited about what that'll do. In its most premium form, we'll be performing in schools. We'd be performing, touring this region as well as being for hire,
Hmm.
and even further down the line, having the children's division where it's children's chorus that's doing African American and African diaspora works,
That's great.
and
The
even in
Jacksonville Children's Chorus might be interested in that.
yeah, I'm actually a member of the Voices of Jacksonville with Darren Daly
Hell yeah.
right now, and we're doing a Martin Luther King tribute recording, I believe this weekend, this Saturday, and then we have another concert that's coming up soon, I believe in May. So yeah, I do work with them, and
Excellent.
I think those are the things that I really have going on that are Flying around.
Mm.
Big up to all of those things and all those projects, man.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for this hour and, breaking all this down for me. We're always been friends, but, I'm very proud, as we all are, of what you've done, what you've accomplished, and, taking these blessings and giving it forward, especially for the youth. Like that's godly work right there. And like I said, send me the playlist of, oh, sorry, send me the list of all the songs and composers that will be involved, and if you can get the names of the other people who will be part of the performance, we'll try to get a shout out to as many people as we can.
All right, word, man. This has been an honor for you to even consider this newsworthy, my brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you taking and carving time out of your busy life and just seeing this and wanting to lift it up, man. And
Oh, yes.
the work that you've done in various routes over the years and avenues is just outstanding.
Thank
But
you.
also just being a voice for those who don't have a voice is just so meaningful. And you
It's
talk about godly work. That's that's it. So
it's an honor and a pleasure,
Yeah, man, to get this space to sit with you is just a pleasure of mine, man. I'm so grateful.
Yes, and we will more to come. I'll be hitting you up with some follow-up questions over the next week or so as I begin writing this thing and putting it together.
Right on. Well, I'll go ahead and follow up with the names of all the personnel involved, and I'll get you a flyer, and I'll give you the names of the composers and such, and then you let me know if you have any questions from there, bro.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Peace,
Yep.
Shelton.
Peace. Have a good
night.
weekend. You too.
You too, man. Oh, can I get a copy of this?
Yeah. I think it records automatically. So I will
Oh, you can send me the link. I think it's probably something I can download or something. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll send it. Yeah, I'll send it to you. Give me a couple days of that.
It's a memento.
Absolutely.
Right. Peace, bro.
God bless.